Anti-immigration rioters attack a hotel in Rotherham as the violence grows and the Prime Minister calls out far-right thuggery.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is: far-right thuggery. To those who feel targeted because of the colour of your skin or your faith, I know how frightening this must be. I want you to know that this violent mob do not represent our country.
Good evening. Even as the Prime Minister was condemning a wave of violence that he said singled out Muslims and other ethnic minorities, it was still unfolding. In Rotherham, rioters shouted, "Get them out," broke windows, and some appeared to smash their way inside a hotel housing asylum seekers. Chairs and fence posts were thrown at police, who are continuing to deal with disorder outside the Holiday Inn hotel. We'll be live in Middlesbrough tonight, where some 300 protesters gathered at the town's cenotaph with chants of "We want our country back." It follows yesterday's unrest in several towns and cities across England and Northern Ireland. We also report from Liverpool on what the police called a night of deplorable violence in which 23 people were arrested. Well, the violence escalated rapidly in Rotherham this afternoon as rioters attacked a hotel housing asylum seekers. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said police had full government support for the strongest action against those responsible. While in Middlesbrough, a crowd of around 300 people marched through the town centre, some attacking police, others smashing the windows of houses and cars. From Middlesbrough, our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, has this report.
Today, Yorkshire, Rotherham. Crowds clashing with police outside a hotel where immigrants are being housed. Bottles and furniture thrown at the police, masked men shouting Yorkshire. A bin set on fire by rioters with little regard for anyone inside the hotel. A police force, at times, appearing outnumbered.
Right now, there are attacks happening on a hotel in Rotherham. Marauding gangs intent on law-breaking, or worse. Windows smashed, fire set ablaze, residents and staff in absolute fear. There is no justification, none, for taking this action.
Early afternoon, hundreds had gathered in Middlesbrough's city centre. Everyone we spoke to condemned the violence, hated the term hard right. They just feel immigration's out of control, opinions forceful, and to many fanciful.
It's our country and we're getting pushed out. I understand how the native Indians felt in America now, because that's what the white man did, went and pushed them out. Only it's the white man getting pushed out of this country.
Well, I hope everything goes peacefully. I think that's what the majority of the families and that have come here today is for. Peaceful demonstrations, no riots. We don't want to be like everybody else labelled far right.
So first, this man let his flag do the talking.
There's been a lot of aggro, there's been a lot of trouble. That can't be right.
No, it isn't right. We're not condoning it, but people...
Do you condemn it?
I condemn it, but what I'm saying is people now are at boiling point.
First, a moment's silence for the 3 girls murdered in Southport. And then the march. Along the city's main Linthorpe Road, scuffles with riot police as one group tried to break the police cordon. City centre mosques asked worshippers to stay away this weekend because of safety fears. We witnessed several arrests. The police say the total is 16 so far.
And so the familiar pattern unfolds. The crowd now swelled to close on 1,000 people or more. It's true, some abhor the violence, they condemn it, but hundreds are intent on having a fight.
A number of vehicles were attacked today and 3 burned out in a suburb in the early hours. And at a number of points, bricks, bottles and cans were thrown at the police lines. More than 4,000 extra police officers now stand ready, with the court system gearing up for round-the-clock hearings. In a country which now imprisons peaceful climate protesters for several years, how will the courts deal with this? Not much comfort, perhaps, to hard-working people, though, with businesses and livelihoods wrecked, now starting the laborious clean-up.
Well, yes, news just in late this afternoon. The Home Secretary has announced a national plan for beefing up security at mosques across the country. Here in Middlesbrough, pretty quiet, as you can see, people told to keep away from the city centre. The violence is continuing in the Linthorpe Road area. It's just over there. Police helicopter you can probably hear overhead. A telling moment just before we came on air right here. One of the march organisers, who we've come to know, came over and showed us a bucket full of cash collected at today's rally to be sent to the families of the victims tragically killed in Southport. He was visibly angry at what had happened, but he said, "The problem is, Alex, we can't control this. We're just a few people who want a peaceful rally. There's hundreds more who don't." A pretty telling comment from someone at the very centre of organising what started peacefully and continued in very different but all too familiar fashion now.
Thanks, Alex. Alex Thompson there for us in Middlesbrough. There was serious disorder in Liverpool last night too, where hundreds of rioters threw fireworks, attacked fire engines and set a library on fire. Our reporter Andrew Misra has been with members of the community as they began to clear up the damage.
A bonfire of violence and chaos in Liverpool last night. Hundreds of troublemakers gathered in the Walton area of the city. Pushed back by police from the mosque they were targeting, they turned their fury towards a library. Inside today, hard to imagine this place was called a Library of the Future when it reopened last year to help one of the country's most deprived communities. Now it's the community deprived of its services.
I get people are angry about things, but they've got it the wrong way of doing it. Like causing carnage to a library that all the local kids use. They can't use that now. We don't want people to think we're horrible people, but it's a horrible area because we're not. We're all about community. They just showed last night that they're nothing like what we actually are. They're a disgrace.
Locals were out in force this morning, determined to clean up their streets from the stain of last night's havoc.
I know these communities. I did my surgery last week on Friday in this library, meeting local constituents, and so to see the effect of what is basically mindless, violent criminality on these streets is just so heartbreaking.
Seeing businesses broken into has left many scared of what might happen next.
Just want people to know, especially anyone who's got any of these shops that feel threatened or vulnerable, that we're the vast majority of us aren't like that around here.
Do you feel that there is a racist element to this?
Do you know what? I think a lot of the people that were rioting sort of forgotten the reason why they are.
Grief for 3 young girls tragically murdered less than a week ago has been seized upon by agitators looking for an excuse to damage and destroy.
The chair of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners said that arresting people is treating the symptom and not the cause. What do you say to that?
I want to be very clear here that she was not speaking on behalf of PCC, she was not speaking as chair, she was speaking in her own personal capacity. I am very clear that what we have seen over the last few days is not related to any ideological stance on any big issue. This is around violence, mindless, senseless violence, causing harm to our communities, and it's absolutely not something that we're going to tolerate.
A city that prides itself on tolerance and understanding is reeling from a day and night so at odds with its values.
Andrew Misra for this there in Liverpool. Well, earlier, as the disorder in Rotherham was just beginning to unfold, I spoke to Chief Constable BJ Harrington, public order lead for the National Police Chiefs Council, and I began by asking him about the extent of the disorder across the country and if this level of policing can be sustained if it carries on throughout the summer?
Yeah, the simple message is yes, we can. Over the last week, we've seen abhorrent behaviour, criminal behaviour that in no way reflects or pays tribute to the compassion and empathy for those poor children that were killed. You'll have seen robust responses across the country in every force where there's been disorder. Over 140 arrests made. You'll have seen brave, courageous police officers on the street working with their communities, protecting their communities to try and stop this in its tracks. That's our intention. That's what we'll do. And we'll continue to bring people to justice to stop this. We don't want a summer of discontent. We're going to deal with it this weekend and continue to deal with it to protect our communities.
This afternoon, as we speak, there are concerns about what's going on right now in Middlesbrough. In Rotherham, it appears protesters have gained access to a hotel and have smashed windows there. Does that seem like a situation that is under control?
We've got people coming forward and committing criminal acts across the country. You saw that yesterday, and police were quick to respond and to make arrests. Obviously, the officers and staff in Rotherham will be doing the same thing today, making sure they protect the public, they arrest criminals and deter and capture these people who are committing crimes. These are live and fast-moving events, and I know the police and officers, the staff and officers in Rotherham will be doing exactly that. But importantly, we're also looking ahead, making sure we deal with the perpetrators. And just because people haven't been caught today or caught yesterday, we're examining the CCTV footage, our own evidence, and of course the message for people who are committing these crimes, and they are crimes, this is not protest, is we're coming after you, we will arrest you, and we'll put you in front of the courts.
You were in a meeting yesterday with the Prime Minister. Did you discuss any extra potential measures if what you're doing now doesn't prove sufficient?
We discussed lots of things with the Prime Minister, and the key point with both the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary was the support for the actions of officers. And I want to stress that officers making difficult decisions, doing dangerous things and tackling some violent criminals. And we got every support from the government we need. Of course there's a cost to policing. All of these officers, professionally trained, hard-working, come from communities across the country. They're not catching burglars, they're not protecting victims, they're dealing with thugs, and that's right and proper for them to do that. We'll continue to do that, we'll continue to use the intelligence, and I just want to stress, to communities, we're there to protect you. Make sure you speak to community leaders.
I just want to ask you about Donna Jones, who's the chair of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners. She said in a statement that's now been removed that the Prime Minister's new violent crime units have led to accusations of two-tier policing, which has inflamed protesters. What do you make of that?
Well, I would say there's no two-tier policing here. Where we come across people who want to peacefully protest, express their views in a democratic society, we will and have always facilitated that peaceful and lawful protest. We're not anti-protest, but we are anti-crime, we are anti-violence.
But these were remarks, albeit the statement was retracted, from the chair of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners. She also said that protest groups in the wake of the Southport stabbings were focused on the need to uphold British values. Do you think that is acceptable?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to critique the commentary of someone else. I'm going to tell you what policing's doing. You'll see high visibility patrols, even in the places where there is no disorder today, to make sure the communities know that we are there, we're on their side, and we're protecting them.
Chief Constable B.J. Harrington from the National Police Chiefs Council. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.